One, my name's Kelly,
Yeah!
and this is Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing.
Yeah!
And today we're doing a deep dive,
Yeah!
which means we're about to connect some dots that were definitely not meant to be connected out loud.
Yeah! You moron.
Do you guys remember that video that I just tried to recreate from TikTok? Oh, so funny. Such a classic. I was going to say all this stuff, but then we went to record it and I ended up not saying anything that I even planned on saying. I was going to be like, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to be like. But I recommend you rewatch that video or go look at that video. If you go on TikTok or something, just type in girl with mom saying yeah or something like that. And it'll come up. It's a girl sitting and her mom behind her, but so funny. Also, I know I'm supposed to I don't know, do your hair and makeup and stuff, when you're on YouTube, but I just got out of the shower and I didn't want to. It's late. It's it's 6 p.m. and I'm recording this, and then I'm going to make the most delicious dinner ever. And I didn't plan after that. I don't know what I'm doing after that. Probably editing. That's what I'm doing after that. Let's do the podcast. Let's do that. Okay. So, how did one man go? I'm so hot right now. Let me redo that. I don't know if my eyes are red, but I'm pretty zooted at the moment. Okay. How did one man go from selling oil to influencing medicine, education, and how we understand health without ever running for office? Because that is the Rockefeller story, and it's wild. And I had to stop myself from saying Rockefeller. So take that however you would like. So let's rewind. We'll have a little mini history lesson with possibly wrong information. Because I'm doing the research. So I mean, sometimes information comes from Reddit. Maybe not factual information. I do like to fact check most of it though. Oh, but anyway. Yeah. So the Rockefeller name starts with John D. Rockefeller. And if you've ever heard his name followed by the words first billionaire, that's literally not an exaggeration. So he made his fortune in the late 1800s through oil. And he founded Standard Oil, which didn't just compete with other oil companies, it absorbed them. Speaking of oil, I don't know if you guys watch Landman. This isn't a plug or anything, but it is so good. And I feel so good about myself. Okay. After watching the last episode that just aired on Sunday, seeing Billy Bob Thornton from the side and how he has no ass. None. I feel a lot better because I also have no ass, but it's a little bit bigger than his was. That was wild. It was just back pants. There's literally nothing. He's still kind of fine though. Tony Soprano. Ugh. Man. I want to buy Jim a white robe just so he can wear it around the house with a t-shirt and boxers underneath, So, he founded Standard Oil, which absorbed all of the other oil companies. So he would buy them out, crush them, control transportation, control pricing, and then control supply. And at one point, Standard Oil controlled about 90% of the oil in the United States, which is a chokehold, not a business, in my personal opinion. So oil touched transportation, manufacturing, industry, chemicals, and medicine. And Rockefeller understood something very early, apparently, which is if you control the resource, then you don't need to control the people. So the government eventually stepped in and broke up Standard Oil because even they were like, okay, this is a lot. But breaking up the company didn't break the wealth, it multiplied it. So they ended up walking away with stakes in multiple companies instead of one, and their money like evolves. So like once they had more money than they could physically spend, they didn't like stop influencing the world. They rebranded and they became the philanthropists, which sounds nice until you remember that it means funding institutions. There were universities, medical schools, research foundations, public health initiatives, and like this is where the pivot from oil to medicine happens. So Rockefeller money began pouring into medical education, helping reshape how doctors were trained, what counted as real medicine, and what approaches were considered legitimate. At the time, medicine was pretty messy. So there were herbalists, homeopaths, holistic practitioners, and other like competing schools of thought. And then suddenly there was one approved model, which was chemical based and institutionally taught. And this is the same playbook as oil: standardize, control, and then eliminate competition. Only this isn't fuel, it was like health. But when you fund medical schools and like other schools, you get to decide what gets taught, what gets researched, what gets dismissed, what gets labeled as unscientific. I don't know why I did it this way. Yep. I feel like an alien would do this. How fancy is that? I wiggled my fingers and it says add effects using hand gestures. Anyway, suddenly, after all of that, alternative approaches don't disappear because they're illegal. They disappear because they're unfunded. And the Rockefellers also funded education, like not just medicine part, research, and public health messaging, which means that they also influenced the belief. So, like, the Rockefeller legacy isn't just wealth, it's infrastructure, because the systems that they helped build are still here and still operating and still deciding what's normal. So, when people say, why does medicine look the way it does? Or why is education structured like this? It's not like, oh, that's because how it just happened. It's because someone paid for it to happen that way. But why does money get to decide what's true and what's not, you know? I just had to stop the recording for a second because I was staring off into the abyss and I think my eyes like glazed over and everything. And I was thinking about the delicious food I'm about to make as soon as I'm done recording this. I'm so hungry. And also super duper high. I like a little bit more than normal, I think. But it's okay because my nervous system is reset and I feel fantastic. Maybe I need help for that. But anyway, I have another weird question. I'm trying not to talk with my hands, but I keep doing it. I need little mini hands. Oh, that would be so cute to get little mini hands and then like just have them in the screen. Oh, I got to do it the next time. Oh, and I forgot my tinfoil hat. I just realized. Too late. I don't need to put it on this episode, I don't think. Anyway, I was just holding I was still holding my hands up like I was holding the little hands. But did I ask you the question yet? Don't think I did. Okay. Well, now I will. So, what happens when a disease starts showing up more and more? Right around the same time, medicine industry and chemicals explode. And the response isn't, why is this happening? But how do we manage it? So, this is where like the big C enters the chat. So, in the early 20th century, cancer starts getting a lot more attention. Not because it didn't exist before, because it did, but because diagnoses increase. And the reason that they increase, well, not the reason, but like they started increasing when the industrial chemicals expanded and processed foods become more normal and pharmaceuticals grow and environmental exposure changes, and then medicine becomes even more institutional. So like instead of saying, hey, what's causing this or what's changed, like the system pivots to, oh, how do we treat this? Or, which, I mean, yeah, you want to know how to treat it, right? But anyway, this large centralized organization that I was just telling you about is the American Cancer Society. But what's interesting is once cancer becomes an institutional problem, it also becomes an institutional business. So then money starts flowing into treatment research, pharmaceutical development, screening technologies, long-term management, and less into environmental contributors and prevention first models and lifestyle and exposure questions and systemic causes. But anyway, when something just happens, the only option left is management. And management is ongoing. Let's get our little cork board and red string and maybe a tinfoil hat. So, who funds the research? Who's shaping medical education? Who's influencing what counts as valid study? The same philanthropic pipelines we just talked about. Because prevention doesn't require lifelong customers. So we end up with a world where treatment's like standardized and questioning it is like controversial, you know. But anyway, this leads to another uncomfortable question, which is if the goal was to eliminate cancer, why does the system seem built to manage it instead? Because if the problem's always there, then you're always gonna need to go for treatment, you know? Anyway, this is probably like a really weird episode. It's something that gets requested a lot by like what I researched. Nobody is messaging me requesting stuff. But if you ever wanted to request something for me to talk about, I don't know, message me somewhere. Something on something. Somewhere. Anyway, so we are told that history is written by the victors, but it's also written by the publishers and the funders and the people who decide what's appropriate for a curriculum. Modern education didn't always look like this. At one point, learning was like messy. Different regions taught different things. There were competing interpretations of history and philosophy and science, and then suddenly education became standardized so that there were the same timelines, same narratives, same textbooks, same, I don't know, test answers, I guess. But the standardization, oh, I don't think you know how many times it took me to say that word because it was like 5. But it didn't happen by accident. Like textbooks didn't just appear. They were written and approved and funded and published and then distributed, which means someone, sorry, my lips are really dry. Someone somewhere decides what stays in it, what gets simplified, what gets labeled as a myth, and what gets left out entirely. And this is where theories start popping up, not because like people are crazy or anything, but because like gaps in things invite questions. So there are theories out there that certain historical events are exaggerated, misdated, altered, or never happened the way that we were told. And think about how often you've heard like, oh, historians now believe, which is basically code for we're changing the story. So some people point to certain theories like entire stretches of time being questionable, and like wars that don't line up with archaeological evidence, or civilizations that appear suddenly with advanced knowledge, or like technologies that seem too advanced to like for their era. Once education becomes more about passing tests instead of thinking critically, history becomes less about truth and more about consensus, which is dangerous because consensus can be influenced. And when funding, politics, and institutions all point in the same direction, you don't need to censor history, you just have to edit it. And then over time, people stop questioning it because they don't know there were other versions. Which leads us to curiosity becoming suspicious. Is that why they always say, oh, curiosity killed the cat? Is that basically their way of, or did they threaten? Was that a threat back in the day? Like, oh, hey man, curiosity killed the cat. Like, oh, are you trying to murder me because I'm curious? Is that what you're doing? But anyway, I know I said this is the deep dive, but I don't even know if this is going to be a long episode or not. All I can think about is food. And I'm making, oh, okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm making. So I get a little bit of oil, right? And I drizzle the oil in a hot pan, and then you cut off some fresh garlic, and then bam, you throw that in there, and a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of parsley, because it's delicious, right? And then you add your dry pasta, and you stir it around, and let it like coat the pasta and all the oil and the garlic. Ugh, smells delicious. And then you add water. You do this in a pan, by the way, like a deep pan. And then you add water, just enough to cover the pasta. But what I do is I also add more salt and pepper. We go through a lot of salt in this house. Is that what's wrong with me? Maybe. Anyway, well, no, because does salt do your blood pressure? Because I have good blood pressure. Anyway, what was I talking about? Let me think. Oh, food. Duh. Okay, so oh yeah, so you add just enough water to cover like the top of the noodles, and then I add a little spoonful of better than bouillon, the chicken flavor, and then you let it cook. I like it al dente, and everyone else in my house is like, your pasta's hard. Like, it is not hard. It's al dente. Maybe with a little crunch. But anyway, just kidding. I don't make crunchy pasta. So yeah, and then I do that, and then once all of it's cooked, I add a little bit of butter because I love butter. I may or may not just cut a chunk of butter and just eat it. I've been doing it my whole life. It's not anything new. It's not why I'm fat. No need for concern. I used to hide under the kitchen table when I was 2 and eat sticks of butter. It's fine. But anyway, yeah, so then I add a little bit of butter, and then I usually add pasta sauce to it too. We usually make our own homemade, and it is so good, but I don't have time for that because it is almost 7 o'clock at night. So I just bought the jars of the 4 cheese sauce, which I'm sorry to anyone Italian out there, but I can get away with it because I'm not Italian. Did you know I thought I was Polish for my whole life? We were talking about like our backgrounds, like, okay, so I'm Irish, Swedish, German, Dutch, maybe something else, I think. And then but I also thought I was Polish. And like, I make a lot of Polish food and it's delicious, you know. But apparently I am a fraud because I found out just 2 years ago that I am not Polish. But anyway, I'm the furthest thing from Italian. But my husband is Italian. And I think French and Irish. And maybe like little other things. I think he said, okay, so Amy had to do a school project when she was in 2nd grade. And Jim was like, I think we're Indian. But I mean like Native American Indian. Was it wrong of me to just say Indian? My apologies if it is. But anyway, he was like, oh, we're some like small percent of Native American. And I had to write it down for on an index card for Amy to bring into school so that she can present it to the class. My poor child. Not only did she tell the entire class that she was Polish when she was not, my doing by accident, I also wrote down that I said she was black. Sorry, that was a bad time to stop talking and laugh. I didn't say she was black. I put down that she was part Blackfoot Indian because I swore that is what Jim said that he was. And then come to find out, he's not. And then her teacher was literally like, there is no such thing as Blackfoot Indian. Which I thought there was. But now that I think about it, I think there was a chief, like Chief Blackfoot. I think that's what it was. And then I just assumed Blackfoot Indian. Who let me have children and who let me send them to school with my help? Who let them complete homework with my help? But that reminds me of a time when I sent my son was in kindergarten, and yeah, so I sent my son to school with his clothes backwards while he was in kindergarten for backwards day or some wacky clothes day, but I was a day early. It was the following day. And then I sent my daughter to school that same day. I was a day off with both of them, with crazy hair. She had like a ponytail sticking out in every which way. And crazy hair day wasn't until the following day. It was a wild time. But also, I was in my early 20s. So I was just surviving, I think. What a time to be alive. What a time. But anyway, I have to stop talking or I am going to just continue to tell you so many stories for no reason other than they just popped into my mind. I feel like I should start another, not another podcast, but a different segment and call it But Anyway, where I just tell you stories for like 10-minute bedtime stories. Can you imagine? I don't even think this would work because I don't think no one would want to listen to my voice for 10 minutes before bed of me just like wheezing in your ear laughing because I laugh at myself. I don't think you guys would want that. But if you do, let me know. But if I left you with more questions than answers, then I did my job. Because I also have questions with no answers. But anyway, I'm stopping here before my brain starts to short circuit or something. If you enjoyed this chaos, make sure you follow the show, rate it, and leave a review on Spotify or wherever you're listening. And because it helps, and people will be like, hey, what's this? What's this that's popping on my For You page? I don't know if it's called a For You page on Spotify, but whatever that is, it might pop up there. Shout out to those listening on Nighthawk Radio. Go check them out, show them some love, and support independent creators. There's some cool stuff over there. I said that last episode, I think. Pretty cool stuff over there. So go listen. I think it's on like a Live 365 app or something like that. Or you can go to just Google and just type in Nighthawk Radio and it'll come up. But there's a bunch of shows on there that you should check out for sure. The song of the week this week is Hopeless by Goodfella, and I think you should go stream it wherever you listen to your music because it's good. And it makes me do the shoulder shimmy a lot. I can't listen to it when I'm cleaning my house, like tomorrow's Friday, right? And I'm home alone because I'm off. And I'm going to smoke and clean my house. But I will do more dancing and singing than cleaning. But that's okay. Because sometimes I think you need to do that, I think you need to dance around your kitchen instead of cleaning. It's fun. I like it a lot. Anyway, stay weird, stay curious, go be kind to someone for no reason, and go be amazing.